Hey, what's happening, y'all? It's me coming back at you again with another video on the Undisputed series. This time is going to focus on Kostya versus Zab Judah for the Undisputed light welterweight title that took place in 2001. And what do you know? Coincidentally, Don King was the lead promotion of this fight as well. Interesting, or the lead promoter of this fight, I should say. Okay. Now, before I go on with this video and give you guys a background in the of this fight, how it came about, and the aftermath of it, whatnot, I have to address one thing. Now, someone had said in his video that when I made the when I referred to a fact, I referred to a fact in one of my previous videos addressing something where I said that Lomachenko had is notorious, and his team is notorious for lowballing offers against certain fighters. Particularly where Israel Corrales was offered a unification fight with Lomachenko, and he turned down the fight. This individual said that, well, how do you know that the offer was lowball? Were you there in the negotiations? What do you know the stipulations in the contract? Well, obviously, I don't know that for sure. What I can tell you is that Corrales' team confirmed that the offer was lowball because they didn't like the fact that they were offering low money than what Rocky Martinez got to fight Lomachenko. Okay, the same offer they did to Orlando Salido when they tried to offer him the rematch. Okay, Salido didn't want it because he felt that, wait a minute, why are you offering me 30% less money than when you guys gave Rocky Martinez? They tried to offer him about 500 grand. In fact, his argument is like, wait a minute, I'm a bigger draw than you. I have a bigger fan base. I have a bigger fan base. I beat you. So why are you trying to lowball me an offer that that's 30% lower than you gave Rocky Martinez, who was your last opponent? Okay, that was his argument, and that's the reason why he rejected it the first time. Okay, so now obviously now there's pressure on Lomachenko to make the suitable offer to make that rematch. Same thing he should do for Corrales. He also did it to Nicholas Walters the first negotiations on the first leg of the negotiations. Nicholas Walters, he tried to offer him almost the same amount of money they tried to offer Salido for the rematch. And Nicholas Walters' argument is, well, wait a minute, I deserve $1 million because I beat a couple guys who are far better than any of the guys you beat, which is true, which is Nonito Donaire. And yeah, you can argue Vic D'Artagnan was way shot over the hill. But the fact is, I would say that, yeah, the Donaire fight would prove the fact that, hey, I beat a guy that was pound for pound. Why, you haven't beaten anybody else pound for pound. Why are you trying to lowball me? But I'm very shocked that that Walters ultimately took the fight, which is great. He took the fight, but he was offered far low, 20% less than when he was initially offered to take that fight. I'm very shocked that he took that money. Very shocked. But I'll post a link to those stories below, so that way it will validate my point that I made in my previous video about Lomachenko and his team notoriously offering lowball deals to fighters to get to get them in the ring with them. Particularly that you're offering fighters who are far better than Rocky Martinez, way less money that you gave him. That's bullshit. Real talk. Another thing I have to add to is that Lomachenko got paid $1 million for that fight against Nicholas Walters, and Nicholas only got 300 grand. Now, how is that fair? Honestly, it is what it is. But anyways, let me talk about Kostya and Zab Judah leading up to this fight. Now, Kostya, he was the WBC champion and WBA champion. But before he got the titles, obviously he became champion the first time in his first run as the IBF light welterweight champion by knocking out Jake Rodriguez, and then making some defenses against the likes of Roger Mayweather and whatnot. And then he ultimately lost his title against Vince Phillips in a not saying a stunning. Well, you could say it was not a stunning upset, but pretty significant upset. Lost to Vince Phillips, and I wish that Tsyzu had gotten a rematch against him, but apparently that didn't happen. So he had to work his way back up. He got a string of wins against the likes of Calvin Grove and Rafi Ruiz and just the boys for Hurtado, and that Ruiz fight was brutal. Jesus, not to where Rulis was putting damages on Tsyzu, but Tsyzu was punishing him so badly that the fact that the referee of that fight didn't even stop it where he needed to stop the fight. I mean, the fight was stopped in the ninth round. I think the referee finally stopped it, but it's just like he should have stopped that fight 2 rounds before that because Rulis was taking a beating, a severe beating. I'm like, Jesus Christ, when's the referee going to stop the fight? I mean, I was being young back then. I just didn't understand what was going on, but it is what it is. And the Hurtado fight was very, exciting. Tszyu got knocked down once in that round, and same thing. Hurtado came back with a knockdown. I mean, it was a very exciting fight while it lasted. I mean, Tszyu got to him. He wore him down with the body shots, and then, he was able to take him out. And then he got into a interim fight against Miguel Angel Gonzalez, who was pretty a dirty fighter back then. Gonzalez, Tszyu was, punishing him as well. And to Gonzalez's credit, he did have a hell of a chin because Tszyu was really, really beating the crap out of him, particularly in the fifth round, where I'm surprised that Gonzalez didn't even go down in that round, but he was able to withstand the punishment and then take at least to 10 rounds before he got stopped. And then after that, he fights well, he beat Gonzalez for the vacant title, so he did beat him for the vacant WBC title, and then he defended it against Ahmad Santos, a mandatory. Well, actually, no, he was a voluntary defense, and then he fought Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., the mandatory challenger for the WBC title, which is besides me how in the hell that they approved Chavez to be the mandatory challenger. I mean, this version of Chavez was over the hill, way past his best, and he had no business being in the ring with Kostya Tszyu, no business at all. And Tszyu punished him for all, from the first round to the end. The fight got stopped in the sixth round. So after that fight, Tszyu got into an immediate unification bout with the WBA champion Shanbei Mitchell, and very weird how this fight ended. I had Mitchell up, and I had him winning that fight before the retirement in the corner because I think Shanbei injured his knee, and from my understanding, I think they did go to the scorecards and they gave it to Tszyu. Was it a technical decision? No, it was not a technical decision. It was a retirement because he couldn't continue to the knee. So Tszyu won the fight and he was able to capture his other title. So after that, he made another voluntary defense against Okay Yorkal. And then he got into Undisputed unification bout with Zab Judah that took place November 3rd, 2001. Now, as far as Zab Judah is concerned, he made a string of defenses when he won the IBF title from Yang Bergman, and then he defended against Junior Witter, then Tyron Mullet, and then he was successful against Hector Coraz and Reggie Green and Alan Vester, and then he got a shot at Tszyu. So it did take a while for these guys to meet up and fight for the undisputed title. Okay, but I would say though it took a year. It took 1 year for these guys to meet. So both these guys were relatively very busy, and within the course of a year to finally meet for the undisputed title. Particularly Kostya Tszyu, because in 2001 he had a string of championship fights. I mean, when he was a unified title, when he unified with Shanbei Mitchell in February, then a few months later he fought Yorkal, and then another few months later in November he fought Zab Judah for the undisputed title. So he was very busy. He picked up a unified title, and then a few months later, with one voluntary defense, he fought Judah. And of course, when they fought, this fight actually ended in a very bizarre way. And what I mean by that is that where was I? Oh yeah, the fight. So this was an undisputed showdown. I mean, Zab Judah was, I gave him the first round because he was thoroughly outboxing Kostya Tszyu. It was pretty rough in there. He was, getting his shots off, and he was blinding Tszyu with a lot of angles. He was, beating up, with speed and accuracy, whatnot. And I think Zab Judah was a favorite to go into this fight because, given the fact that his attributes and his skill set, he was undefeated. They thought he was going to be too much for Kostya Tszyu, but eventually Tszyu got to him. He pressured him. He caught him with the one good right, and then he actually caught him with the left. And then he caught him with the right, and then it decked Tsyzu, and Tsyzu got up on spaghetti legs. It looked so funny because he uttered some words to the referee when he got up, and then he stumbled and went crashing down to the floor again. And then that's when the referee J80 stopped the fight. And yes, this is where the controversy and the bizarreness came through when when Judah gained his senses and realized that the fight was stopped. He was protesting the stoppage, and so it was his corner, and they were protesting. And J80 said, "Wait a minute, why are you stopping the fight? He wasn't hurt. He wasn't hurt. He wasn't hurt." With all due respect, man, when a fighter does that, when a fighter gets knocked down, he gets back up and he starts uttering some words that you can't understand, and he stumbles down to the floor again. Yeah, you got to stop the fight because to me, you got to look out for his safety. He just wasn't there, in my opinion. Yes, he regained his senses when he finally realized the fight was stopped, but still, it's too little too late, man. In that situation, when you get decked and you're hurt, just wait till the referee makes a count, take the full 8 count, stand there for a few seconds, get back up to your knee, then make it to your feet, and then continue the fight. That's what Judas should have done. Yeah, but the way he reacted, yeah, he looked like he was badly hurt. So, I can't fault Jay and 80 for making the right call in that situation. Of course, Zab was out of control. He was throwing stuff all over the place. He went up to Jay and 80, threw a glove. He put a glove in his face, threatened to punch and whatnot. So, yeah, Zab just acted out of character. And to me, after that fight, he wasn't the same fighter, but all mentally, in my opinion. But to be fair, he did recapture the light welterweight title by beating Chop Chop Corley. The aftermath, I should say, he did beat Chop Chop Corley to regain the title, to regain his one of his light welterweight titles, and then he moved up to welterweight and he fought Corey Spinks the first time around for the undisputed title. And this is with Corey Spinks, who was coming off a win against in the undisputed mat unification bout against Ricardo Mayorga. And then a couple fights down the road, it took about 3 or 4 fights to finally rematch with Corey Spinks in the second fight, and then Judah took the undisputed championship away from Corey Spinks, and which is a great win. And then he made one successful defense, and then he lost it in an embarrassing fashion to Carlos Baldomir. That forced all those belts to be scattered, and we haven't had an undisputed welterweight champion ever since. If Baldomir had paid his sanctioning fees, but it is what it is. Okay, and again, Zab, he started having a string of losses against guys like Floyd Mayweather, Miguel Cotto, Joshua Clottey. In all fairness, he was able to get some decent wins against Lucas Mastisse, which some people thought he lost that fight. Kaiser Mabuza, he captured another world title at light welterweight. He beat Mabuza to capture the IBF title in a vacant fashion and got into immediate unification bout with Amir Khan, which I felt that he quit in this fight. Amir Khan was able to pick up another belt while he was the WBA champion. Then, had a bit of a downhill. He went downhill a little bit. He had losses to Paulie Malignaggi and Danny Garcia, which he gave a little bit more effort in this particular fight. And then in the Malignaggi fight, he just didn't have no effort at all. So, yeah, he pretty much is on the decline. As far as Kostya, has continued to have some successful defenses after he beat Judah. But then again, though, the thing is that he only had 3 or 4 fights after he beat Judah because he had such a long layoff, and he was having, promotional disputes, I believe. Then the sanctioning bodies were, pretty much, after he fought Jesse James layoff, after he beat Ben Tacky and he fought Jesse James layoff, he was having, such a long layoff, and he was having, due to his layoff and his promotional and personal disputes, the sanctioning bodies are starting to strip him, like the WBA, the WBC stripped him, then the IBF, which is ironic that the IBF was allowed him to keep his title after so much of inactivity. And then he defended against Sean Bay Mitchell, and Sean Bay Mitchell was calling him out for a long, long time after his layoff, whatnot. And then he got into a IBF mandatory defense against Ricky Hatton. Ricky Hatton was fighting maliciously dirty in this fight. Yes, Hatton got the win. He beat Tsyzu, and then Tsyzu retired after that. So, and of course Tsyzu became a Hall of Famer. Maybe somebody will argue that Kostya don't deserve to be in there. I mean, I think he deserves it, if you ask me. But, as far as Zab Judah is concerned, still continuing his career, is fighting lower tier opposition. I mean, I'm not sure how long he's going to continue that, but it is what it is. And another thing I have to point out, going back to the Lomachenko situation, different discussion. Now, if Terrence Crawford is able to get unification bouts, and Terrence Crawford is equally skillful as Lomachenko, and in my opinion, is far more dangerous than him, then how come he's able to get unification bouts and not Lomachenko? Well, rhetorical question, because Lomachenko is offering low ball offers to the other champions, so he needs to start upping up the offers, just like Crawford is doing. So that's my advice to Lomachenko. If he wants those other belts, he got to start offering better splits, in my opinion. So, and another thing I want to say is that I can understand if there's one instance where a champion refused to take the offer because he's pricing himself out. But if you got multiple people who's turning down fights because they feel they're being lowballed, then that's a problem. You need to start upping splits. Just like Golovkin, he realized that's what he had to do at middleweight. Okay? And that's the same thing Tyson had to do when he realized that he needed to get guys in the ring with him. He had to offer satisfied splits. So it is what it is. Now, anyways, let me know what your thoughts are about this. And hey, one thing I wanted to add, though. I mean, even though Julio Cesar Chavez was way past his best when he fought Tsyzu, do you really? I mean, this is a question I have to ask you. Do you think the prime version of Julio Cesar Chavez would have beaten Costa Tsyzu? I don't know. I mean, that's hard to tell because Tszyu at this prime was far dangerous. Was just as dangerous, I should say. So it's still a 50-50 fight if you ask me. So, yeah, let me know what your thoughts about this. I'm out.